Hello everyone and welcome back to the Colorado Rockies franchise. It's the final episode of the regular season and the final stretch of games in the career of Charlie Blackmon. Blackmon has been a career Rocky and has been one of the best Rockies of the past sort of 15 years or so. He won 2 Silver Sluggers and a batting title and had 4 All-Star appearances. He might not be an MLB Hall of Famer, but he is definitely a Rockies Hall of Famer, and we will be retiring that number 19 going forward. That's Charlie's forever. He's regressed pretty significantly this season, down to a 69 overall. His contact against lefties is down tremendously. He's still decent against righties, and he still draws a good chunk of walks, but he's definitely on his way out of the league. He's not having a bad season, but it's not great either. A 264 average, 325 OBP, 412 slugging, 737 OPS. If he doesn't retire, I may consider bringing him back on a very, very cheap contract, but most likely he is just done as a Rocky after this season. So today we're going to get through the rest of the regular season, set ourselves up for the offseason, and bid farewell to Charlie Blackmon. And I think the way I want to do that is by playing one of these full games against the St. Louis Cardinals, and then doing player lock for the final 3 games of Charlie Blackmon's Rockies career against the Dodgers. And I'm happy to say that all of those games are home games in Colorado. But let's go ahead and start simming through these games so that we can get there. The Rockies beat the Brewers, and can they beat the Brewers again? No. So a 2-1 win and then a 1-2 loss, and then a 5-10 loss. Peter Lambert taking another L. Satchel Paige will get another start, and he's pitching a pretty good one. It's 1-2. He did give up 2 runs, so on for a loss currently, unless Colorado can get it together and take a win right here, and they do not. 3-2. But Satchel Paige did not get the loss because they ended up tying the game up. So Dakota Hudson, who came out of the bullpen, ended up with the loss. We beat the Tigers 2-1 in game 2 and then 5-1 in game number 3. And now we start a stretch of home games. German Marquez has sustained an injury. It appears he'll be out a few days. We'll keep him active for now. Nick Kent at AAA has suffered a shoulder separation. It appears he will be out for 2 to 3 months. Well, we're going to place him on the 60-day injured list. Keep simulating this series against the Cubs. We take 2 losses, and that is our 100th loss on the season. The Rockies now 49-100, their second 100 loss season in a row and second in team history. On the bright side, that means that we will have a lottery pick and we have a good shot at being the first overall pick. Antonio Senzatella is no longer injured and has come off the injured list. What would we like to do with him? I think we place him on the bench for now and we let him get in at AAA, maybe a little rotationally. Senzatella, if you don't remember, is also a longtime Rockies pitcher. He is a guy very similar, honestly, to Satchel Paige, where he pitches to a lot of contact, does not get a lot of strikeouts. He does have decent control and not terrible velo. The D potential sucks, but he could be a starter for us next season if we need him to be. Adael Amador has sustained an injury, an inflamed hip. He will be out for 1 to 2 weeks. Brutal. Some of our best guys are getting injured at the end of the season, our best prospects, that is. That will likely end Amador's season, and he was having a really good one. My goodness. Batting .334, 391 OBP, 489 slugging, 879 OPS at AAA. And I mean, he was doing about this well or better at AA. Look at how much this kid is improving. Plus 13 contact against righties, plus 10 power against lefties on the season. He might force me to trade Brendan Rodgers sooner rather than later because he is killing it. So the Rockies have lost 6 straight, all of which were at home against the Cubs, and then the Diamondbacks. We're now 49-104, a game off of 50 wins on the season. Here's a series against the Dodgers that we'll sim through quickly. We do break the losing streak. Willie McIver is injured now. He is one of our AAA catchers. The Isotopes have finished the season 80-70 and won their division. They'll be taking on the Rainiers years in the division series. So we had our AAA team make the playoffs, and our AA team was really good. 83 and 55, they've made the playoffs as well. Well, how very interesting. Our AAA and AA teams are quite good. We won't really focus much on their playoff experience, maybe in the future when we have more of our drafted guys on the teams, but it's cool to see that our farm system is doing quite well. The Yard Goats finished first, 83 and 55, and the Isotopes also finished first at 80 and 70. But let's get into this game against the Cardinals. Cal Quantrill will be on the mound for the Rockies. In Colorado for one of the final times this regular season, the Rockies face off against the Cardinals, a team that we traded Nolan Arenado to a number of years ago. Cardinals 79 and 77 on the season. The Rockies 50 and 106, which is just embarrassing totals. We can't even reach 60 wins on the season at this point. It's going to be the worst season in team history, more than likely. Cal Quantrill, though, had a pretty good year, 3.35 ERA. This will likely be his final start. He may actually start in the very, very last game of the season against the Dodgers based on the rotation. Here's Bobby Witt Jr., who, if you don't remember, was traded to the Cardinals right around the trade deadline, right around the All-Star break, and is now their top guy. And Quantrill will strike him out swinging on an inside fastball, and that's the first out of the day. Quantrill ended up being a pretty good free agent pickup for the Rockies. Oh my goodness, I say that, and he absolutely hammers one, which is going to bounce off the wall into the open arms of Nolan Jones. And he's going for third, but I think he's going to be out by a mile, and he is. Tommy Edman tries to stretch it to three, and Nolan Jones gets it to the cutoff man, Brendan Rodgers, gets it into third, and that's out number 2. Shouldn't have stretched it. He pressed his luck, and he paid. It's going to go in the books as a double, but instead there's nobody on base now, and this would have scored that run for sure. So pretty lucky that that one didn't happen. By the way, you may have seen that's Raimel Tapia in left field. New free agent acquisition. Those of you that are Rockies fans know that he was a long-time Rocky, and a decent one at that. He was a leadoff guy or a number 2 guy in the lineup for some time. Was never really elite, but was a solid platoon guy, which is all I really want him to be now. Nolan Gorman blasts one to dead center. And the Cardinals will take a 2-0 lead here in the first. Just as I thought we were getting out of it, there goes Nolan Gorman, one of the top young guys in St. Louis. And it's back-to-back Nolans for St. Louis. It's the former Rocky, Nolan Arenado, one of my favorite players of all time. Troy Tulowitzki's up there on my list. I think, of course, Todd Helton. Everybody loves Todd Helton. But Nolan Arenado was a guy who was coming up in the league when I was just a little kid as he hammers one to left. Can Tapia rob his former teammate? No! It's another home run, back-to-back home runs for back-to-back Nolans. This one is Nolan Arenado. Doesn't go quite as deep, but it's worth a run nonetheless. 3-0 St. Louis. Quantrill, normally our ace and has had a good season, struggling today. Now, the placement of that was not exactly ideal. Quantrill seems to be struggling with the control so far today, giving up 3 runs in the first inning. This is very standard Rockies, though. If anyone's been... Oh, my goodness gracious. There is no way. Back-to-back-to-back home runs for the St. Louis Cardinals. Jordan Walker goes to the deepest part of the field, left center, and hits it out 100 off the bat, well over 400 feet. My goodness, Cal, what is going on, buddy? I keep getting interrupted by home runs. What I've been trying to say is that Nolan Arenado was a guy that I kind of grew up with. I was about the age where you can start to like really follow sports when he came up in the system, and then, of course, gets traded away and shatters my heart as Ezekiel Tovar will put an end to this horrific inning for Cal Quantrill. 3 homers given up in back-to-back-to-back at-bats. The Rockies will face off against Steven Matz, and it's Charlie Blackmon to lead us off the final 6 games of his Rockies career, more than likely. From what I've seen, watching other YouTubers who are doing franchises and have reached their offseason, Charlie almost never retires. In fact, I have not seen one offseason episode where Charlie Blackmon is retired. So that makes me concerned that he's not going to retire. I thought for sure he'd retire at the end of the season because he's old and getting worse by the day as he grounds to short. But it seems like he may actually not retire. And what do you guys want me to do at that point? Do I re-sign him? Here's Ezequiel Tovar. He's coming into the game with an 11-game hit streak, batting up to a 273 now. The guy is killing it in the back half of this season. Tovar grounds to first. This should be a pretty routine play for the pitcher, and it is. 2 gone in the inning. Nolan Jones back up to a 306 average, which is top 10 in the National League. He did dip down below 300 for a little stretch there during the regular season. Looks like he's probably going to finish above 300 here to end the season. Nolan Jones, I would say, is the centerpiece of this rebuild, and now alongside the generational rookie Barry Cohen coming in next season, I have high hopes for this Rockies team, but a strikeout there for Nolan Jones ends the inning. There are 3 different very good Nolans at kind of 3 different points in their careers in this game. Nolan Arenado at the end of his prime, Nolan Jones kind of entering his prime, and Nolan Gorman, a young up-and-comer. What's up with Nolans and playing baseball? There's some correlation there, as that is rifled at Sterling Thompson, who makes the play. Randy Arozarena is out. Arozarena was not on the Cardinals to start the season, if I remember correctly. Isn't he on the Rays? So they must have traded for Arozarena. The Cardinals making moves, getting Bobby Witt Jr. and Randy Arozarena. That's crazy. Making moves just to go roughly 500 because they are 79 and 77 right now. I'll check after this game what their standings are. Like, do they even have a chance to make the playoffs, I wonder? Or are they fully eliminated? Grounder up the middle for Goldschmidt. Tovar can't get there, and that is a base knock here in the second. Might be a short day for Cal Quantrill. He is struggling, and it's unfortunate because it would really suck if his ERA went over 4. It's been under 4 all year. Quantrill lacking control today. 3-0 immediately to Bobby Witt Jr. And now we just got to kind of throw him a meatball, and somehow Bobby Witt does not swing at that. And he does crack this one onto Tovar. Should be an easy 6-4-3 double play despite the speed of Bobby Witt Jr. And up come the Rockies to the plate, trying to chip away at this very early Cardinals lead. Leading off the inning is Brendan Rodgers, who has had one of the most mid-seasons of anyone on the roster. It seems that certain people are doing very well, certain people are struggling, and he is the only one that's mid, as he hits a base hit, though, into left field. How does one hit a base hit? He gets a base hit into left field. And Eleris Montero is in at first today. Lost his everyday starter role, but Scott Schreiber has really been struggling here to end the season, and especially against lefty pitching. He was batting 108 this season. So we're bringing in Montero just to get a change of pace against lefties. Not like it matters too much this late in the year. Obviously, the Rockies are already in their grave. It's just a matter of how deep is that grave. This one is popped to right. I don't think the right fielder moved an inch over there. Sterling Thompson to the plate. He's batting 230, which is pretty respectable for a rookie that kind of got shoved into a starting role he probably wasn't ready for. And a strikeout to Sterling Thompson. Waves at the circle change, and that is out number 2. Brings up Elias Diaz, who I believe is on a contract year. I don't know if we'll be bringing him back either. If we do, it'll just be a temporary thing as Steven Matz makes a gem of a play, and Diaz goes down, and that's 3 outs in the inning. The Rockies offense struggling nearly as hard as Cal Quantrill. Quantrill was able to get through the second inning with no damage done. Let's see if we can do it again here in the third. That is a grounder up the middle. Brendan Rodgers close, but not quite. And Tommy Edman, who doubled his first time up but was thrown out at third, now gets a single. And now we're back to Lars Nootbaar in this part of the lineup that destroyed us. Oh, and they're stealing on Diaz, and that's not even close. I was not prepared to throw. Edman with his 27th stolen base on the season. Quantrill hits the top left corner, no call. And that one is high and deep to left. I don't know if Tapia's getting there in time. He's not. It's off the top of the wall, and this is another double and another run scored for the Cardinals. And there is nobody out here in the top of the third. We're going to start warming up some arms in the bullpen, including Dakota Hudson. We don't really have any other relievers that can go very long, because none of them have particularly high stamina, but I guess I will warm up Lucas Gilbreth as well. This could be the end of the day for Cal Quantrill facing Nolan Gorman. We're now to the part of the lineup that homered back to back to back. Will they do it again? Circle change, swing and a miss to Nolan Gorman, and that's the first out in the inning. And that is a grounder to third. For some reason, I tried to throw it to second to start, but we get the out at first. And he swings and misses on a crazy curveball. Cal's starting to feel it with the curveball a little bit. And strike number 3 on Jordan Walker. Cal Quantrill allows the 1 run, but nothing further. Still hasn't gotten any run support, but he's not exactly doing himself any favors either. Brenton Doyle batting 191 now on the season. Just really struggling, but this one's high and deep to right center field. It might be gone. It's not. It's off the top of the wall for Brenton Doyle. He does not get the chance to go to third because that was absolutely rifled to right center field. And it bounced off too far back, so a double for Brenton Doyle to lead off the inning. In an ideal world, he would be able to lead off the entire team and do stuff like that, but batting 191, there's just no chance. And here's Raimel Tapia batting 9th in the order, has replaced Sean Bouchard as the everyday left fielder for the remainder of the season. That's a grounder up the middle, and it is going to be an out at first base. It did not get through. Charlie Blackmon, we're back to the top of the order. Can he give the Rockies their first run on the day? It's definitely going to be weird to not have Charlie Blackmon in the everyday lineup for Colorado. In fairness, really the only reason he's in the everyday lineup right now is because of nostalgia and the fact that his plate discipline's so high. But there's definitely guys that could replace him at the moment, but nothing can replace Charlie Blackmon. He singles up the middle, Doyle scores, and it's the first RBI on the day for the Rockies. Tovar looks at a really good circle change. He got 3 excellent pitches just on every corner. Stood no chance. So that brings up Nolan Jones. What should we do about the batting order next season? I think obviously it depends on who we get in free agency, if we get anyone. And if we're starting Barry Cohen. And a grounder to the right side for Nolan Jones is another base hit on the day for the Rockies. And the inning will continue. Brings up Brendan Rodgers, who to start the game was the only hit for the Rockies. A hit here might score Charlie Blackmon. That's a really good circle change. Like, his placement on this circle change is just absolute perfection. He's hitting the edge of the zone every single time. You just don't have a choice but to swing. And that one was low, but I bit anyway. And that's a strikeout for Brendan Rodgers. But 1 run on the board for the Rockies, so that's something. So Quantrill, maybe he can settle in. In fact, it's a little late to settle in, to be honest with you. This is likely his last inning of work. That's a grounder up the middle. Should that be the end of Quantrill's day already? I mean, the guy cannot stop giving up base hits. It is ridiculous. I'm going to let him have 1 more batter. If you can get him out, he can continue. In fact, he'll ground this into a double play, and we'll give Cal Quantrill at least 1 more batter. Here's Paul Goldschmidt. You know your lineup's good when Paul Goldschmidt is batting 9th. Goldschmidt, though old, I'm sure he's regressing pretty much as heavily as Charlie Blackmon is. There's a splitter that gets into right, and that is going to end Cal Quantrill's day. Out comes Bud Black, telling Cal Quantrill that he's done through 3 2/3 innings. Terrible outing for Cal Quantrill, which is not common for him this season. He's been quite good. And we'll bring in Dakota Hudson because he's really our only arm in the bullpen with a lot of stamina. Dakota Hudson has been absolutely horrific this season, though, so I don't have high hopes. This is popped way up to right, though. Nolan Jones under it, and that's the end of the 4th. The end of the top half of the 4th, at least, because here we are in the bottom of the 4th, and it's Montero at the plate. A slow 2-hopper to Nolan Arenado onto Goldschmidt, and that's 1 out. Sterling Thompson at the plate to opposite field homers. All the way into left. The opposite field power is very impressive from Sterling Thompson, who's having himself a pretty good day. His 9th homer on the season, chasing double digits in his rookie campaign. And the Rockies chip away at the Cardinals' lead. That was a sinker right down the middle for Sterling Thompson. Here's Elias Diaz. And Elias Diaz will draw a walk, which will bring up Brenton Doyle, who has already doubled tonight and was the only run for the Rockies for a while. I really am thinking that Doyle is going to start next season in the farm system rather than at the MLB level. What a play! Would have been the second base hit of the day for Brenton Doyle. A diving play by Bobby Witt Jr. gets him out. That is brutal. Now we're on to Raimel Tapia at the bottom of the order once again. 2 gone in the inning. It was a decent one to hit, but very early because it was a circle change. I might actually give Tapia a somewhat long-term deal just because it's nice to have a guy like him as a backup fielder in the outfield. He's got decent speed. He's got a decent ability to hit. He's not a great fielder now that I'm thinking about it, as he grounds out to short. But I think that he could be worthwhile depth. I think especially if we decide to send Doyle down, we need more depth in the outfield. Still, Dakota Hudson is the pitcher. It's Tommy Edman. He's 2 for 2 for the day. Maybe Hudson can be the one that gets him out. Not sure how long Dakota Hudson's on contract for, but I don't like him very much. He's been terrible this season, and I don't know. He's got deep potential. That one should have been blasted. I mean, it is pretty far into center field. Doyle underneath it. Out number 1 for Tommy Edman. Hudson could easily just be a long reliever in our bullpen next season. With the deep potential, though, he's pretty much at his peak because he's like 70 overall right now. Well, there's one gone for Lars Nootbaar. He hit one super far in his last at-bat. It only makes sense that he gets a home run in this at-bat. Hudson hung a slider, and, you know, that's what happens, I guess. Dakota Hudson, the king of hanging sliders. That one is actually a pretty decently placed sinker. And high and deep from Nolan Gorman, but a little bit more high than it is deep. And it's going to be to the other Nolan, Nolan Jones, out number 2. Oh, and look at that, a third Nolan to talk about. As that is a hanging slider again from Hudson. And he'll strike out Nolan Arenado to end the top part of the 5th. Lars Nootbaar, though, makes the lead 4 again for the Cardinals. Charlie Blackmon at the plate, bottom of the 5th. Let's see if we can get some base hits off of Steven Matz. Maybe get something going offensively. Hasn't exactly been easy. Only the 2 runs so far. Look at these pitches. He had 2 that were easy to take, and then the last 3 have just been in the bottom right corner. Like, what am I supposed to do, Steven? You're throwing literally perfect pitches every single time. I was scared, so I swung at that one. Charlie will line one into right field, and that's down for a hit. Charlie Blackmon, his 2nd base hit on the day. Ezequiel Tovar has not gotten involved in the fun so far. 0 for 2. Maybe he can get involved here. I was wondering why Steven Matz's energy is already quite low. He only has 65 stamina, so he has pretty good stuff, but his stamina is just too low. He probably can't pitch very far into games. So maybe now is the time where his stamina is a little lower, that we kind of get some offense going on him as he perfectly places a circle change once again. I mean, he is money on this circle change. Grounded onto short. This is going to be the easiest double play in the history of the St. Louis Cardinals. And it is. 2 gone in the inning. Congratulations, Ezequiel Tovar. Nolan Jones got one to hit. That is high and deep to right field. Is it out of here? No. Warning track power for Nolan Jones. And that'll end the 5th. Jordan Walker hits one to right. Nolan Jones dives, stops the ball, and now going to second is Walker, and safe is the call at second. A good effort from Nolan Jones. And he has structural damage to his shoulder. His season's in jeopardy. The season's been in jeopardy, my guy. We're going to bring in Scott Schreiber to replace Nolan Jones, who likely just finished his season with that injury. Schreiber, who is normally a first baseman, does have the ability to play in the outfield. My goodness, Dakota Hudson is awful. Wilson Contreras to right center field. Brenton Doyle's there. It's going to score a run, and Contreras is in with a double. And that'll end Dakota Hudson's day. It's now 7-2 St. Louis. Here comes Henry Fong, a guy that we signed basically at the exact same time as Satchel Paige. You just haven't heard a lot about him because he's a reliever. Has not been very good this season, but he's relatively young with okay potential at C. I believe he's 25 years old. So could be good in the future, and he's decent enough right now to be in the bullpen. But that's where he's been for the majority of this season, as this ump is just giving no calls. That one is to center field. Brenton Doyle is on it, and Wilson Contreras is not tagging up. That's out number 1. I did not realize that Fong only had 3 pitches. Maybe that's a big part of why he wasn't on a roster. A wild pitch advances Contreras to third, as Fong will continue. Fong does have good velo, but he is missing the placement on like all of these pitches. Thank you, Goldschmidt, for bailing him out there. We'll try to go to the cut fastball to be the strikeout pitch. And it's low, or at least it's called low by the ump. 1 out for Bobby Witt Jr. Henry Fong, can you get out of the inning? You can't place a pitch in the strike zone, so probably not. Man, this umpire just gives no close calls. That cut fastball is right on the corner, and we just do not get it. Grounder up the middle should be good for a double play, even with Bobby Witt Jr.'s elite speed. And that is the end of the inning. This one's a little out of hand, so why don't we do a little bit of quick simming as the Rockies get 1 runner on here in the bottom part of the 6th. A walk for Sterling Thompson, but nothing doing there. Tapia singles. Can Blackmon? Oh, he doubles, so now you got runners on 2nd and 3rd for the heart of the order. Ezekiel Tovar grounds out. And Schreiber also grounds out. Fantastic. We'll bring in Gilbreth to face Arenado and this part of the St. Louis lineup, and he gets through the inning. Now we're into the 8th. Can the Rockies bring it back? Strikeout for Rogers, ground out for Montero. Double for Thompson. My guy is having himself a great day. A single for Diaz scores Thompson, and now it's 7-3. Colorado coming back, maybe, as Doyle strikes out. Gilbreth walks Arozarena, so I am going to have a pitching change here. In comes John Curtis to face Goldschmidt, who's a lot worse against righties than he is lefties. Strikeout of Goldschmidt. Stolen base for Arozarena. An error pushes Bobby Witt to first and Arozarena to third. Pop-up does not score anyone, and a fielder's choice ends the inning. Single for Tapia. Fly out for Charlie, a double for Tovar, and the runner is thrown out at home. Raimel Tapia, you fool. And the Cardinals have defeated the Rockies 7-3. This one was ugly right out the gate, so I figured we'd get through it a little fast. It was just going to stay ugly more than likely. Cardinals exit with a victory, improve their odds at maybe making the playoffs. Like I said, we'll take a look at their standings and if they even have a chance to make the wild card. They're right around 500. I think this pushes them to 3 games above 500. Nolan Jones has shoulder cartilage damage and will miss 2 to 3 months. Well, we're going to put him on the 60-day IL. It doesn't really matter. It's the end of the season anyway. Still sucks to lose your best guy for the last 5 games of the season. In the wild card, the Cardinals are 5 games out, so they could be eliminated at any point. If they lose even 1 to the Rockies, I think they would be mathematically eliminated, but they could theoretically, if they go on a run, make it into the playoffs. With the injury to Nolan Jones, Ezekiel Tovar is going to get to finish the season at the 3 spot in the batting order, and Sean Bouchard will be the everyday right fielder. And because we've already used Tolia's minor league option this season and we have a roster spot to fill at the MLB level, we're going to bring Tolia up to the MLB to finish the season as a backup, just because we need that extra roster spot filled. And he can play the outfield, left field, or right field. The Isotopes were immediately eliminated from the playoffs. I did not realize it was a 1-game playoff to see if they kind of made it in. That's what it ended up being, and they lost. The Rockies have beaten the Cardinals 4-3 in the final game of the series, which likely eliminates the Cardinals from contention. It does. 81-78. They are officially eliminated. By the way, during the offseason, I am going to find a way to undo the Bobby Witt Jr. trade. The fact that he was traded at all makes 0 sense for the Kansas City Royals organization, and it makes even less sense when you consider the guys they got in return. I unfortunately don't have forced trades enabled, so I can't just do it manually myself. What I'm going to have to do is make Bobby Witt Jr. genuinely awful, make a trade for him, and then trade him back to Kansas City for those guys and then get those guys back on the Cardinals with another trade. So it's possible. It's going to be a little tedious for me to do, but I will get it done. It's just a really dumb trade for Kansas City. I don't want to let it stick. And you know what? I changed my mind about Bouchard being the everyday right fielder. To end the year, Charlie Blackmon gets to be the everyday right fielder. So let's get into some player lot games, the final series of Charlie Blackmon's career. And of course, it's against the LA Dodgers, because who else would it be against other than the team he's played maybe the most in his entire career? Charlie Blackmon, welcome to your final series. The Rockies enter 51 and 108. The Dodgers almost completely flipped 97 and 62. Satchel Paige is the pitcher for today's game, hovering just under a 4 ERA. I imagine he will be over a 4 after today. This will be his last start on the season. So here he is, Charlie Blackmon, his last few at-bats at Coors Field. Start right now against Dustin May, and that wasn't even close. Broken bat pop up for Charlie, caught by the catcher, and that's the first out. Surely I can get at least one hit with Charlie Blackmon during his final series, right? Right? I would assume so, as that is a line out to Charlie here in right field. Finally, Charlie got one to hit, and he lines it straight to Freddie Freeman at first base. That is just unfortunate. He battled for so long in that at-bat. Oh, this one is deep from Jason Hayward to the wall, and Charlie Blackmon will have to throw it back in. Couldn't get there in time, and it's a double for Jason Hayward. His third at-bat of the day. Dustin May still in the game. It's 5-0 Dodgers. The Rockies offense really struggling, but I mean, that's what happens when your best guy is out. Charlie, at the very least, is making Dustin May work for these outs, fouling off everything continuously. There's another one. Finally, a base hit for Charlie Blackmon. It's into the gap. It's going to be a double. If he was a little younger and a little faster, I might stretch that into a triple, but he's old and he's slow, so it's a double for Charlie Blackmon. That brings Brendan Rodgers to the plate as the 2-hitter, so we'll see if he can bring Charlie home. Maybe we can get back into this one, take a W off the Dodgers. Not going to happen here, as Mookie Betts makes an easy play on to first. The new number 3 hitter, Ezekiel Tovar, trying to replace the efficiency of Nolan Jones, which is a lot easier said than done, and he will strike out. Can Elias Diaz do anything, perhaps? 0-1 count for him. That is a pop-up to third base. I don't know why Charlie is diving into third there. That's the end of the 6th. Well, I got my hit. I wanted to get one hit through the 3 games. I got one, so I will take it. Dustin May is still in the game here in the 8th inning. Charlie's hit by a pitch by Dustin May. Takes one on the elbow, and he's on base. But it probably won't matter, because I bet Brendan Rodgers strikes out here. 1 ball and 2 strikes for Rodgers. Oh, he actually grounds this one to third and gets out anyway. This Rockies team is truly horrifically bad, especially when Nolan Jones is unable to play. And with him out for this final stretch of games, it's no wonder we're losing so much. The Yard Goats have won the Northeast Divisional Playoff Series and will be taking on the Bay Sox or the Seawolves in the Eastern League Championship Series. Good for them. It's the second to last game in the career of Charlie Blackmon now. Can the Rockies get to 52 wins on the season? It'll be up to Kyle Freeland to try to make that happen today. Currently at 51 wins, so I find it unlikely, since obviously our last 2 games here are against the Dodgers. Charlie Blackmon, the leadoff man, of course. And a slow grounder onto Freddie Freeman is the first out of the day for Charlie. Shohei Ohtani at the plate. That's actually the first time I think we've seen him in this series. I haven't played against the Dodgers a bunch this season, and here's why. They are just going to dominate us, and it's probably not that fun to watch. As Shohei Ohtani blasts one over the right field wall, and the Rockies are losing. It's 4-0 here in Colorado. I actually think we're going to finish 51 and 111 on the season. Charlie, oh, he got one to hit. I was just late on the swing, but he still popped it an absolute mile into the air out at third. This one is going to be caught by Charlie Blackmon. Got an opportunity out in the field. I'm glad I decided to put him in the outfield for his last 3 games. Oh, the Rockies got a run, but they gave up 2. So if they get 2 for our every 1, then, you know, comeback's not really going to happen. Another slow grounder to the right side. Charlie, you got to stop with these. And out at first once again. It's bases loaded for Charlie Blackmon here in the bottom of the 7th. Could go down as a Rockies legend if he could hit a homer off this, but he can't. That's a really, really good splitter. He'll get 1 more at bat in the bottom of the 9th here in his second to last game under the lights at Coors Field. Oh, and that one, he did get a good piece of contact on it, but it's still a very easy play for the right fielder, and that's the end of the game. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the final game of the regular season and the final game in the Rockies' career of Charlie Blackmon. Charlie Blackmon, very long time Rocky, very much a fan favorite. The last day of his career is here. It's definitely his last day as a Rocky. I imagine even if we don't re-sign him, he will not be re-signed by anyone, so it's likely the final game of his career regardless. Here we go, Charlie. Bottom of the 1st. Let's have a huge day for the last game of your career. Facing Shohei Ohtani on the mound. We know he has filthy stuff as Charlie pops this one to center. And that's out number 1. Not a good start. In right field, one more time is Charlie Blackmon. This one is grounded into right. And back into Brendan Rodgers. How exhilarating. Got one right down the middle. No. It's a 1-2 count in Charlie's second at-bat here against Shohei. And I swing and miss at a terrible splitter. Fantastic. I'm making him look like a chump in his final start. We move on to the bottom of the 6th. Shohei pitching a shutout, and with a slurve like that, I can't imagine why. And another strikeout for Charlie Blackmon to end the 6th. That's such a good slurve. Why does he have to face Shohei in his final day? And Shohei is pitching a shutout into the 9th, so we don't even get to see a different pitcher. It's just Shohei for Charlie's final at bat of his career. Absolutely brutal. Come on, Charlie. Hit a homer off of Shohei. Is your final at bat? No way. It's good timing and everything. Full count for Charlie. Can he end his career by getting walked or a base hit? I'd love for him to get on base for his final plate appearance. And it's a ball inside. Charlie will walk on what is likely his final plate appearance of his career. And Brendan Rodgers get him 1 more run scored on the stat sheet. No, he looks at a strike. That is ridiculous. How do you look at a strike in the bottom of the 9th of the last game of the regular season? That is crazy. Ezekiel Tovar, surely he hits one to deep center field. He homers. Charlie gets more runs scored. Okay, well, he keeps it alive. Here comes Elias Diaz. He's 4 for 10 in the series with a double. A double would score Charlie Blackmon. Okay, that's to center field. It's going to get down, and Charlie's going to score a run in his last game as a Rocky. Let's go, Charlie Blackmon. He ends the shutout for Shohei Ohtani. Elias Diaz bats him home, and we get to have a nice little send-off for Charlie Blackmon. He touches home plate, his final run as a Colorado Rocky. The Dodgers win, but we won in our hearts, because Charlie Blackmon got to score 1 more run at home as a Colorado Rocky, and that is the end of his career and the end of our regular season. Brenton Doyle broke his shin in that game. Dude, we are so injured at the end of the season. Some of our top players like Doyle and Jones are out. A lot of our top prospects are out. We're super injured, but it's the very end of the season, so it doesn't matter too much. But Brenton Doyle gets injured as well. So here's the player statistics to finish off the year. Charlie Blackmon played 158 of the 162 games this season, batted .257, 319 OBP, 401 slugging, and a 720 OPS, which actually was best on the team this year. I mean, best on the team of people who finished the regular season, I should say. Nolan Jones had a 911 OPS. Nolan Jones led us in home runs with 21, Tovar had 16, Charlie had 15, Diaz 12, Rodgers 10, Schreiber 10. Schreiber having 10 is pretty impressive considering we only got him like halfway through the season. And he only played 78 games, so 10 home runs, not too shabby. Thompson 9, Bouchard 9, Montero 9, Doyle 6, Hilliard 3, Trejo 3, and Stallings 2. Nolan Jones led us in RBIs with 74. Charlie Blackmon had 61. Tovar just under him with 59. Like I said, really good year for Ezekiel Tovar. Nolan Jones leads us in stolen bases. Charlie actually had 15 on the year, which is pretty good considering he's not particularly fast anymore. Bretton Doyle had 14. Sterling Thompson had 10. 306 average to finish the year for Nolan Jones. Tovar at 271 was good for second. Trejo had a 264 coming off the bench at second base. Charlie Blackmon at 257. Diaz at 248. Rogers 233. Thompson 228. Schreiber 227. Montero 221. Bouchard and Hilliard 213 and 212. Stallings 200. And then you have to get all the way down here to Bretton Doyle, who hit 192. OBP leader was Nolan Jones at 385. Trejo at 323. Charlie Blackmon at a 319. Diaz a 312. Tovar a 300. Everyone else was below 300. And then slugging obviously led by Nolan Jones as well. Not a good year slugging for really anyone. OPS also obviously led by Nolan Jones. Walks, Nolan Jones. Charlie Blackmon had a lot of walks as well. Nolan Jones led in doubles. Charlie Blackmon was second. Seems like Charlie Blackmon was just the second best bat on the team throughout. He led the team in triples, weirdly enough. You'd think that would be Doyle, but you got to remember that this guy can't hit. If we look at pitchers, Daniel Bard had the best ERA, but he played only 28 innings all season, but at a 1.91. Curtis had a 3.32. Quantrill finished with a 3.53, which is respectable considering where he plays. Justin Lawrence a 3.55. Bird a 3.78. Marquez got under a 4, so he finished red hot, I feel like, to end the season. He was over a 4. In fact, over a 5 for a good chunk of the year. Jalen Beeks a 4.19. Satchel Paige finished cold, had a 4.37, had a couple rough starts to end the year, but not too bad. Gilbreth a 4.47, and here is where we get bad. Freeland a 4.76. Fong a 5.29, Lambert 5.52, Kinley 5.74, and Dakota Hudson a 6.14 ERA with a 1.68 whip. And that is good for second worst on the team behind only Tyler Kinley, who was absolutely horrific coming out of the bullpen. If you're curious where the Rockies ranked in various things, batting average, we're 28th. Runs scored, we are 30th. Hits, we are 26th. Doubles were actually pretty average at 18th. Triples, we are tied for 23rd. Home runs, we are 30th by a significant amount. RBIs, we are 30th. Stolen bases, we are 27th. Walks, we are 29th. We never walk unless your name is Nolan Jones or Charlie Blackmon. We are second to last, 29th in strikeouts. We are dead last in slugging percentage. We are dead last in on-base percentage. We are 12th in errors, so we do not commit a lot of errors. We are also 12th in fielding percentage. We are 27th in ERA, and we are 30th in saves. We are tied for third in blown saves, however, with 13. So we didn't have a lot of saves, but we also didn't have a lot of blown saves, which essentially just means there weren't a lot of save opportunities. We were 28th in runs allowed, 27th in earned runs, 27th in home runs allowed, 29th in strikeouts. We just do not strike anyone out. Of course, we're dead last in win percentage. We had the worst record in the MLB. But anyway, that is going to do it for this episode. The next episode is going to be the offseason, and I can't tell you how excited I am to get these rookies on our team and get started with what truly feels like the beginning of the rebuild, which is season 2. But thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate the continued support. If you find yourself coming back on the regular and you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that sub button for me. It does help me out a lot. We're trying to hit 2,000 by the end of May. But I will see you guys in the next episode, which will be the off season.